Episode 20. Happy Monday, everyone.
We reached our 20s.
We reached the 20s.
Woo.
It's a
almost
momentous
legally drink as a
occasion.
podcast.
I'm just going right into
All
it.
right. I was pretty thirsty, so I'm not going to argue.
Ooh, Lane's like, I like the sound of that.
That's good beer.
Good job, Bill.
Lager.
Good job, Bill.
Ah, thanks.
Lager.
So the reason I said good job, Bill, is I am drinking some of our pilot batch State of Grace rice lager, which the last time you made this, it was a little warmer in my hands. This is really cold right now. But this has already got some flavor that I'm enjoying.
Means that fridge is
Awesome.
working.
The fridge is working real good. The fridge is not broken.
Nice.
Would you say it's as cold as a foothill
Laney.
stream?
Lane's like, I want in
Yes,
this. I want in
actually. The
this.
can would turn blue if this was a Coors Light can, for sure.
Shh, we can't say that.
That is slowly becoming my favorite beer to brew.
It's slowly becoming my favorite beer to drink. So that's a good
It's also
coincidence.
slowly his favorite one to slowly ferment.
Slower to better.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got House Lager from 12% down the road from us there.
I got some Outer Light Brewing Company, a Ninja Trail. It's their green tea pale
Oh, that one's always
ale.
I've
Or
got
ale, as they call it in America.
Counterweight's Workhorse Pilsner, which is looks like it's
Speak
become
into
a
the
favorite.
microphone, Julian.
I have Counterweight's Workhorse Pilsner.
Don't yell into the microphone.
Yeah, just speak.
into the microphone.
You're like,
your ale comment.
Is this the episode where we fire Julian?
if we do it, can that be the episode title? The one where they fired Julian?
it's like a bad episode of The Office.
That's Friends. That's how they name things on Friends.
Oh, whatever.
Your ale comment made me think of a story Denny Kahn once told when he went to like Peru for some kind of beer thing,
Yeah.
and they call IPAs IPAs.
Yeah.
Like,
Eepus.
and it took him a minute to figure out what they were talking about.
My buddy Lov, his mother used to like, what are you guys drinking over there? Stone Ipas? So he's not alone. Not alone. And then that's like a running joke at their family now. So every like family gathering I ever go by, and they're like, "We got some Stone Ipas." Doesn't matter what you're drinking, by the way. It's always a Stone Ipa. It doesn't matter.
I've seen some people like non-ironically call double IPAs dippas, and that kind of annoys me.
Dippa, Ipa.
Why does it annoy you?
I don't know. It's
Don't
just,
people
it's,
call them dippas?
It's not a
Yeah, it's
word.
pretty
When I
it's
dip a,
pretty
you
common.
dip,
Well, it's annoying, and I don't like it.
When I dip a, you dip a, we dip a.
Anyone do anything fun this weekend?
No.
No.
I cleaned my dog cabinet.
I did yard
I thought you were
work.
going to say you cleaned your dog, which I mean that should be a fairly regular thing. But
They fair that is on the docket because I found fancy dog wash in the dog cabinet. It's going to be lavender.
I won't lie. Due to the absence of sports, I paid more attention to the NFL draft this weekend than I have in the last 5 years combined.
Next on the clock, sports.
I watched ESPN from 6 o'clock on Thursday night until the end of the first round at like 12:30, and then I woke up Friday morning and I listened to a couple podcasts where they complained about the stuff in the first round, and then I paid attention to it in the background while doing things Friday night, and then I listened to podcasts all day Saturday while doing stuff around the house about the NFL draft. I am both grotesquely ashamed with myself and extremely pleased with the information I now possess for the upcoming fantasy seasons. So I guess it's a win.
Why did you draft that fifth backup of that sports team? You'll know why
you'll know.
in 3 months.
In 2 years, he's gonna be good. Let me tell you.
Stephen Jackson of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, pretty much.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I
All right.
didn't do much.
That's not
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah.
Well, you play video games, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I definitely played video games.
I think we're enjoying it. It's
Took
been
my tractor apart, got new blades on it.
sounds like a country song getting ready.
When you ride your tractor, do you play the theme song from Green Acres?
No, I should though.
You definitely should.
Next on the playlist.
It's on loop.
Nice. Cool. So yeah. Good.
We all have very exciting lives during
Yeah.
this whatever day.
Well, I mean, it was nice to have the weekend off though.
it was a beautiful day on Saturday.
And then
It
Sunday
really
was a good
was.
rainy day.
I was tempted to go play disc golf, but I'm not supposed to say that out loud.
Well,
Well-
you can go play disc golf as long as you do it by yourself. Don't touch anything within 30 feet of you.
And don't post it
breathe.
online.
And don't don't post it online, which is where your problem would lie.
Nope.
What you got to do is pretend that you're not doing it.
He'd post it online just to get people to yell at him.
I actually did design while I was doing
I was that bored.
I was doing yard work all afternoon Saturday, and while I was doing it, I'm like, I'm gonna put a basket here and a tee pad over there, and then the next tee pad's gonna go from over there to the basket over here, and I think I have like a 9-hole backyard like putter layout where holes will range anywhere from like 100 to 250 feet.
All right.
I want to
So-
come play it.
We
Can't.
might
No gathering.
we might make this happen soon.
I mean, we're on top of each other all fucking day anyway. We could do the same thing at Pat's house.
Also, I thought it was no gatherings
What kind of
over
party is
5.
this?
I don't know what the rules are
You knew
anymore.
what you were getting into.
I don't either.
I stopped paying attention to rules.
There's too many rules.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
Anywho.
Yeah.
I'm not talking.
So I'm going to get in the
not
hot
talking
take.
You know what I didn't actually? You know what I didn't
Oh,
do
I'm not
this
gonna get in
weekend?
the hot take yet.
No.
Dun,
You know what I
dun.
didn't do this weekend? Have fucking brunch. Continue with your.
It's only because you can't go anywhere. for it.
No, I had breakfast at like 8:00 on Sunday, and then I didn't have any food again
On
until
Sunday, I
dinner.
actually ate breakfast at noon. So
Well, that's lunch.
I'd like to point out that 100% of the people who commented on Bill's post agreed with me.
Which was one person.
Shh,
You
you
don't
mean
have to tell
Mike?
him that part.
It was Mike.
It was
Mike sent me a text that said, "This is the first and only time I think I've ever agreed with Julian."
Julian also took note of that. So,
Yeah.
dear diary, Mike likes me.
On to the hot take.
What do we got today?
All right. I don't know if this is going to be intriguing or annoying, but I'm going to do it anyway because I had this idea when driving in this morning. And my hot take is a setup within the hot take. So the setup is, bless you, Lainey. She sneezed, everybody. I don't know. I'll just get into it, I guess. No setup. I might need some backup. Bros
Before hose.
are this generation's beer snob.
Define bros.
Beer bros. They are just the evolution of what a beer snob is.
Again, define beer bros.
Those who judge and make you feel awkward about not liking specific types of beers, such as hazy, must be a certain element of the beer. Initial beer snobs have always been like, this beer had to be from this weird provenance, and or fermented a specific way. And I feel like it was deterring from people being approachable within the industry.
So you're saying that the new haze bro who is out there now chasing down all the hazy stuff is this current beer drinkers generation iteration of like the old Belgian beer snob from the bar that yelled at you for drinking your local?
Yeah. Basically.
I could see that, and I would even say maybe that it's just that the beer snob has gotten dumber.
Well, I think
If
it's
that-
evolved. I
if
guess
that
my
makes- no, it devolved. It devolved. At one point, the beer snob, they may not have known everything, but they were at least a somewhat educated person, but they came off as super
Douchey?
yeah. Just because they knew a little bit.
No, they definitely
I
were
feel-
douchey.
I feel like yeah.
we're talking
Yeah.
what? Late 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Even mid to like up to 2010 probably in some ways.
Yeah, it just came off as very elitist and snobby.
Right.
Whereas the bro, as you called it, I feel like they now are learning and caring to even attempt to learn less and less, and they just like whatever other people tell them.
But it
to
has
like.
that same tonality, I guess is my
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Like I don't care where the education or why you have this mindset.
I'm
but
just
it's very
I'm trying to
yeah.
differentiate those two.
Yeah.
those-
I guess the way I'm coming from is the elitism stance.
Yep.
It's just coming from, as you point out, two different hemispheres. One's coming from the I'm overeducated beer person and you're stupid because you don't know as much as I know, even if it's fake. And it used to be a lot of faux knowledge that was being presented at the time. And now it's the other way around of, well, you don't know what hazy means, bro, so you're stupid. And I feel like that elitism, regardless of where it's coming from, is very much the same. We're just being presented with it from a different audience, if it makes sense.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Told you need a lot of setup.
I see what you mean.
I think this is the most baffled I've ever been by a hot take on this show.
Perfect.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Good.
So, are you referring to the people that will walk in and be like, "Give me your best IPA"?
No, I mean,
Pretty much like those
no,
people.
no, because that's just people who like IPAs.
Okay.
It's like we mentioned in previous episodes. Watch the episode. I feel like the IPA and New England style in general is a gateway beer, so it's easy to get people on board. I think the people that are very opinionated, that are trying to make you feel lesser about your beer knowledge, and or lesser because you don't quote unquote know as much about beer as they do, and 99% of the time it winds up being about an IPA. I'm not about correcting people because it doesn't really matter. We're all learning. If you've had 1,000 years of knowledge in this industry, you continually learn. Or if you have one day of knowledge, you continually learn. But you have people that are literally be like, they will inform individuals on necessarily what dry hopping even is, and they'll talk as though they are the authoritative figure within that. As an example.
Yeah, what I find weird about that too, I've had it happen when I'm working like the tap room and stuff like that once in a while, where you have one of those guys that's with a group of people that are obviously very new to beer in general, and they're really misguiding them or say something that's totally off base, and I very politely try to correct them,
right,
and tell them why what they're saying isn't really accurate.
Your heart's coming from the right place, but you're wrong.
I'm no fucking expert by any stretch of the imagination. But I know what you're saying is not correct. So let me try to help you
right.
and your friends out here. And then they're like, well, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I'm wrong.
Well, I made the beer you're talking about, so...
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where I'm coming from is at the heart of it is that beer is enjoyed most when it is inclusive. I feel like that's what the strength of this industry is right now.
Absolutely.
I think that's why it's such a explosion, so to speak, right? I mean, just to finish this statement really quick, Julian, before I cut you off, is the beer snob was always an exclusive, trying to make it a private club. And for a short time, I think it almost won, because people are like, oh, I don't do craft beer, I just like to drink an average beer. And we sort of got over that stigma a little bit of like, oh, well, you it's okay if you like Bud Light, I don't really care. If you're open to trying other beers, here's maybe a blonde ale that you or house lager that you might like. It's not going to be Bud Light because we don't make that beer, but maybe you're open to Lainey, for God's sakes.
She agrees.
You know what I mean? So maybe you're open to it. So I think that my challenge and the idea that this is behind is just the inclusiveness versus exclusiveness, in that we're the quote unquote beer snob in earlier years was trying to make it exclusive, trying to be better than thou. And I feel like the quote-unquote Haze Bros, or however definition name you want to use, is the current beer snob. It's just rebranded.
That brings up a good point, though, too. I think that that extra exclusiveness that came with the beer snob back in the day was there wasn't as many breweries, and craft beer wasn't as predominant as it is now. So as breweries have opened more and more and people understand beer a little bit better and are drinking local
and more
breweries,
access too.
Yeah, exactly, more access. So you're seeing that it's less exclusive, so that craft beer snob is kind of backed away, and now you have this broader just beer bro that you.
Yeah. It's just the evolution of the craft beer snob, I guess. I mean, like I said, I didn't have it overtly worded properly. I just know some people relate to them as bros. I don't really relate to them as whatever. I mean, they enjoy beer. I don't really care how they enjoy it. Just make it inclusive, I guess, is my opinion on it. As far as judgmental is concerned, I don't really care how you judge it, how you enjoy it. Just don't exclude people in the enjoyment of it.
So I think I kind of understand where you're coming from with this, and I think I might have a slightly different opinion. As annoying as the last generation of beer snob was, the people who thought they knew all because they drank great Belgian beer and stuff like that, I kind of feel like that generation of beer snob, even though they were maybe a little bit more elitist, was a little bit more inclusive, because if you were sitting at the bar next to that guy, they were kind of the first person to pipe up and try to, for better or worse, educate you on what a better beer choice might be, and to kind of try to steer you into
Yeah, but nobody
a
asked for
choice
that
like
asshole's opinion.
I
though.
know nobody asked for the asshole's opinion. That's why I said for better or worse. But nowadays,
You're drinking a Magic Hat? You should probably drink this Triple H barley wine covered in
but
apricots.
at least they tried to tell you why that was better than the Magic Hat, whereas kind of the douchey haze bro nowadays is like, bro, you don't drink haze. What's wrong with
No
you?
one said they were douchey.
I did. I
Okay.
just called him a douchey haze bro.
But I think it's the same way. Oh, you're gonna drink that beer that's super
Yeah,
clear.
but I don't think they
you know
try
there's
to-
more flavor in the Merc.
I don't think they even tried.
I
I,
mean,
don't
it's the
think they
same
even try
thing,
to
isn't
tell
it?
you that. I think they just say, oh man, you should just drink the hazy stuff. It's just better.
No, I mean I think they're opinionated. I think that educated or not, or they're educated enough to be dangerous. In that they know the right words, and they probably know from part of it, but they make a lot of assumptions. I mean, not everyone, a portion of them, but I mean they know enough to know the hop variants that they in theory prefer, or they think they prefer. They know techniques, maybe not them fully, but they know enough to talk the talk. Maybe not walk the walk, obviously. So I don't think I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know if it's coming. I guess my point is it's not coming from the different place. It's coming from that, like, I know better than you.
Oh no, it's still coming from the same
mindset,
place. I just think that
which makes them a beer snob.
Well, yeah, I just think the older beer snobs were more vocal about.
Pat just needs to ramble on for about 25 minutes, and he's like, I got this.
I have several comments when Julian finishes.
Finally
All right,
has
all
an
right.
idea.
I think that they're both equally snobbish and both
So you're agreeing with me?
equal. Yeah,
Mic
I
drop.
Just have a
Boop, boop,
slightly
boop,
different.
boop, boop, boop.
I just
Don't
think
drop it,
that
though, it's
the
expensive.
older snobs were unintentionally more inclusive by trying to
be
educate people rather than the current beer snobs just telling you you're wrong.
I think they're still doing that now, though. They're like, hey, this is better because it's quadruple dry hop with feet.
Yeah, but the
I
old
mean-
guy actually knew why he thought it was better.
Can we
Pat,
make a quadruple dry hopped feet beer, please?
only if
I
we
would-
put lactose and fruit in it.
Okay, and
We'll
feet.
call it the Tootsie Roll.
Famunga cheese.
Fromunda cheese.
Yeah. So I have
Humongous cheese.
I have several thoughts. First, has the look on my face for the last 10 minutes been as puzzled as I feel like it
I
has?
feel like you were
I
trying
don't
to
know.
poop
'cause
or
I
not
try
poop.
not to look at you.
All right.
It was a look of poop or not poop.
Two, I'm really glad, Bill, you're not in one of your super quiet modes today, or this would be a very boring episode. and three, I think I figured out where I stand.
Laney is out of control
Where
today.
I stand on the hate. Like, I just think a better way to define it in my mind.
No, it's fine.
on how to agree with you, I think.
Yeah, please. Make it make more sense.
In my mind, the beer snob of today is the haze boy that walks into a brewery, orders an IPA, and it comes out clear, and then sticks their nose up at it. It can't be good because it's not hazy. That's the beer snob I picture.
All right, in your mind. Yeah,
the
yeah.
haze boy. I don't know if that's I don't think it's the point you're trying to portray.
It's
but
whatever.
puzzled looking me this is the best I can come up with in the last 10 fucking minutes.
My 12-paragraph essay wasn't that clear.
Yeah,
so.
I just I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
Because I think it's. I will agree with you. The beer snob has evolved, but I think it has. It's not that those older beer snobs aren't there anymore.
There's
it's just
more of them?
There's this new subsection
All right,
that
all
like
right.
kind of operate in parallel to them, focusing on as the haze bowl.
Parallel. It's some murky.
I'm
terrible
trying to
world.
make this work, man. I'm fucking struggling
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
It's
no, I get it, I
It's
get
mon-
it.
It's yeah, I can't do it. That's the best I got.
He's out of control right
This
now.
one was like on the level of one of my hot takes, Kev.
Just 'cause
No.
you guys are too confused.
No, I just wasn't prepared for this kind of thinking today. I don't know why.
What kind of thinking were you prepared for?
None. I just wanted to react. That's the problem. Normally with a hot take, I immediately form an opinion one way or the other in my head, and I want to wait to see what everyone else says so I can argue either for my opinion or against it. But with this one, I've been drawing a blank the whole time. I don't know how I feel about this.
Would you say that your mind's a little hazy?
All right, so Bill was going to say something that was actually constructive.
I was. And I forgot what it was now. No, so I think no matter what, though, whether you're talking about the beer snob or the bro, if there even is a difference, I think also
I
within
think we decided it's not.
whatever, yeah, within those people, which I'm sure we've all gone through a little bit of it for sure. I know I sure as hell have. I think there's an evolution within that person where you start getting turned on to craft beer and you start gaining some knowledge and you start looking down your nose at other people and other beers and you try to sound like you know what you're talking about and you try to like assert yourself into conversations and be like, hey, you should be drinking whatever because that's what I think is better. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of step back away from that ledge and you start kind of opening your mind and palate all over again and being a hell of a lot less judgmental. So I think that kind of evolution within every beer snob kind of tends to happen. I know it sure as hell did with me.
So are you saying that to become a, like, everybody who, through the journey of craft beer,
Not necessarily everyone. Not necessarily
becomes
everyone.
a beer snob intentionally or not?
Not necessarily everyone.
That's not what I
But
heard.
I think what I'm saying is
My
think
light bulb's
that
going on finally.
everyone who as at one point was considered a snob or bro.
I like the take.
I think eventually goes through that evolution of stepping back away from that ledge and
And if they don't, they just jump off of it
they just
into
stay there.
a
I've seen people that
barrel-aged fermented
I-
sour in the ocean of the Red Sea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've-
Some people just stay on that ledge.
No,
they're
I've
drinking
figured
cans
it
of
out.
All right.
Fucking
Well,
chocolate.
Kevin
cake.
is wrong.
I'm never wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Literally, the
You're-
podcast name is Kevin's Always Right,
No, it's not. It's the Hammock Life.
a.k.a. the Hammock Life.
The new beer snob.
Laney, we're recording.
Yeah, she doesn't know that. Doesn't know that.
Jesus,
So
Jeff's
the
getting all
new
excited
the new
over
beer
here.
snob is not the Haze Bros.
All right.
That's a. It is. They are up there in terms of the snobbery. However,
All right.
the
I'm
new
waiting.
the new
but
Kevin, that's my job.
the new beer snobs are homebrewers. The way the homebrewing and beer industry has gone, at this point, any homebrewer that's brewed 3 beers thinks they know better than any professional brewer out there.
I see that with newer homebrewers. I think people who have been homebrewing a lot longer.
There's more.
Okay,
there's
okay,
more
keep
to
talking,
it.
keep talking.
On top of that, when you really dive into homebrewing, you start to learn about off flavors and things like that because you make some bad shit.
this tastes like
Bubble gum, yeah.
wood chips.
Band-Aids, yeah. So you start to learn and educate yourself more about those things, and you start to pick things apart. When you go to like, you don't enjoy beer the same way as when you were just, in the wild having fun with your friends at the brewery. When you truly understand the process and what could bring those flaws, like, I won't lie. For a while, you ruined drinking for me because of how sensitive you were to acid. Plain and simple. You fucking ruined it for me.
I ruined a beer for my brother because of that
Yeah,
one time.
like it took me like there was like a month where we were like when I was coming in on Fridays and helping out in the mornings, where every beer you tried, like, oh, fucking diacetyl, and I was so sensitive for it for like 6 months, I couldn't drink shit because of you. That's the new beer snob.
Yeah,
The people that are too educated because they got too far into the industry.
You gotta learn to turn
but
that off,
never,
though, too.
But never
Yeah,
actually went
absolutely.
into the industry.
It's hard sometimes, but you gotta learn, like, not as an aside. I'm not arguing with you. You gotta, like, I've learned to, like,
Oh yeah.
am I enjoying this beer or am I analyzing it? Did someone ask me to drink it? My friends' beers, a lot of times they want to know if there's a flaw. I mean, if we taste something, I'll let them know. And it may just be the keg. It may be one off. It may not have anything to do with their beer. And not to say that I'm perfect by any means either. But I also have learned, unless it's like really strong, like, I'll usually just sort of turn that off, and then I might notice it at the end.
Yeah.
But I try not to pay attention to that.
But
sometimes.
I think the people that aren't turning it off and that are pointing out every little thing about the beer, that they're out there with their friends and like, oh, this is terrible. It's got this. When the other 4 guys drinking, are like, this thing is fucking great. That is the beer snob. of
Right,
today.
right.
That's
yeah,
the
I mean,
best way
if
I
you
can
only had a
describe
couple
it.
dozen,
I can see that.
a couple dozen beers before, your palate's probably not tuned into tasting those things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, I mean, you always hear. I mean, you also always hear the usual suspects. This thing tastes like pennies. This thing tastes like green apples.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't. It's just that
That's what
person.
those are the buzzwords they know.
yeah. Like, this has diacetyl, but do you know what
Like
that tastes like?
I know one guy that anytime he comes up with an off flavor in beer, Oh, it's DMS. It's DMS. It's DMS.
No matter what the flavor is.
It can't always be
Like,
that.
are you boiling with a lid screwed tight?
It
Like
can't
DMS is pretty
It can't
hard.
always be that. Like,
I mean, I guess
I
and
you have to use like
he
a very unmodified
openly,
grain.
He openly admitted that at one point. He's like, "Yeah, I pretty much always put that as my answer. I probably shouldn't."
Oh my god.
Creamed corn? All right. Well, you're right. You're right.
It was
right.
funny.
That is the cream corn one, the DMS.
It can be. Yeah.
I was out somewhere somewhat recently, obviously before all the corona hit, because I was out somewhere drinking.
My Corona.
But I absolutely regret opening my mouth. I was out with a bunch of people, and one of the guys who is a friend of mine from out of state. He's not a big craft beer guy, not a big beer guy in general, but he drinks once in a while, and he drinks when he comes up and he tries all of our beers that I bring him and stuff like that. Anyway, we were out somewhere, and the beer I had, I could tell just the lines at the place were dirty.
Oh yeah.
You know that flavor.
Yep.
So I ended up mentioning it. I was gonna drink the beer, but I was like, next beer I got to get something out of a bottle or a can because the lines are definitely dirty.
Yeah.
So my friend
Lively little TLC.
My friend decided, he's like, well, we got to tell the waitress. I was like, no, please don't say anything. Waitress comes over. He still opens his fucking mouth. He's like, hey, my brewer buddy here says that. And I'm like, oh, my God, you asshole.
You can check it. You
No
can check
points for
his
the guy
card
sitting
if you
next to
want.
So
It's like at that point, it's not really worth like.
right. I was
the,
like, you don't need to say anything. It's fine. I'm sure.
And 9 out of 10, you're not talking to the person that's that's supposed to be in
Maintaining that.
charge of the
Yeah.
lines anyway.
That
Exactly,
server's
yeah,
not going to be the
exactly.
one who goes, hey, guys, we need to clean our lines.
It's one thing if you're like your buddy's establishment and something just tastes like a beer you've had before just tastes off and it's like,
Right.
hey man, just a heads up, there might be something up with the line.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
But to-
much different.
Yeah,
much
to
different.
call out like the generic waitress who doesn't know most things about
She
beer
also
anyways.
definitely doesn't
Right.
care.
She just
Yeah.
knows that what tap handle that is probably.
Yeah.
That's about
That's
it.
the blue one.
Yeah, and no offense to them, it's just also not her job.
Yeah.
I mean,
and plus,
realistically.
too, it was a spot that I go to somewhat often, and I've never really had a problem. So I know it's not a consistent problem with them, which is why I wouldn't be like, hey, owner, just a heads up. Because
Right.
I know the owner. So
Right. Or if you saw the actual owner, you probably would have said,
Ex-
not for
exactly,
nothing. But it's not worth griping to the waitress or
Well,
waiter
if
because
if
whatever.
it's a place you go somewhat often, it couldn't be Knuckleheads because you go there very.
No, I
very
go there
often.
very often.
So that all right. So we know it's not that.
I know where it
You ever
is.
accidentally
I have an
ruin
idea.
a beer for your friend who was excited about it because of all this?
I don't know what.
Yeah. Well,
You lost me.
Yeah, what would you say?
I blacked out for a minute. I think.
so quick story. My brother came down for Christmas with some. He lives up in Maine, and he brought something that was local that he was really excited about. And he had one, super stoked. And he gave me one. He's like, "Here, man, try this. I've been loving this." And I drank it. I was like, "Oh man, that's got a whole bunch of diacetyl in it." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "Think popcorn butter." And then he drank it. It ruined the entire other 4-pack that he bought, and he couldn't drink it. And I
He
felt-
was so pumped, too.
yeah,
What
and
a-
I felt
what a
bad about it
jerk.
because it was like I didn't help anything. Like he was enjoying
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beer, and I fucking ruined it
It's
for
all
him.
Kevin's fucking fault.
I felt kind of bad
The
about
fucking
it. honestly.
diacetyl Nazi over here. That's all I got to say
Yeah.
about that.
So anyway, I think we had a lot of different thoughts from my very cohesive and very well thought out hot take.
I think we should write a paper about it.
Yeah, you start it
Okay, cool.
and then I'll finish it.
You guys will write the in between.
No.
No, yeah, but they, like you said, though, they definitely exist. They're
Write the
out
graph.
there. I think everyone just needs to.
I'll proofread your punctuation.
If you watch this and you find yourself in that demographic that we're talking about, just take a step back, think about it, and be like, you know what? I need to be more inclusive.
food
I need
for thought.
Just
I need,
don't.
I need to not look down on people for the things they're drinking because it might be something different that I'm drinking.
Yeah, I think it's
that-
cool.
that
It's
I
it's,
like.
it's perfectly fine to be opinionated, and it's perfectly fine to share your opinion. But just remember that you're don't deter people from trying that beer.
Yeah.
The idea is that everybody enjoys. That's why there's so many styles that are popular. And while yes, there are certain styles that are more popular than others, let people devise their own opinion and just don't try to scare them away from beer. I mean, especially know your audience. I mean, if someone's been drinking for a long time, heart's content, be an asshole, be very specific in what your opinion is in that situation. But somebody new to the craft beer world, try not to overwhelm them. Don't scare them. You want them. If you enjoy craft beer, and I'm sure people that are listening to this do, assumably you want your friends and other people you hang out with to also enjoy that with you. So that's only my stance. Just to piggyback off of Bill quickly was, I remember getting into craft beer and it was a little overwhelming initially. Of just I think only because I lived feet from Delaney's that I really got fully into it. I mean, they were the biggest craft beer bar in Connecticut at that time.
They're reopening.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's walking distance.
So excited.
I still live in the area. It's an interesting locale, though, but we'll see. I think it looks like they're doing a good job for it, though.
It's
which
a
is cool.
building that's not burned to the ground, so they're winning.
Yeah, it's true. It's
is
next to my favorite
important.
Chinese place and restaurant too. So we're gonna.
Oh,
That's a
Yeah,
win-win.
that's a win. That's a win-win-win.
After you have some of their food and then some of the beer, once you can walk in, then you could also get Chinese food on the way home, because you're always hungry after eating Chinese food.
Yeah.
I'm always hungry after eating all food.
Hot
You're
take.
always hungry all the time.
I just had like half a meatloaf. I'm hungry again.
Laney wanted it, too.
Bill is
She wanted
like
it.
Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in the Avengers. His secret is he's always hungry.
I think the bottom line is beer's supposed to be fun at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have a good time with it. Drink a beer. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you don't, find it.
Shut your
one that you do. Yeah, shut the fuck up about it.
End of episode.
And outro.
Good times for everybody.
I think that was a good. I don't.
Any food on? We need food lined up.
I think we just talked about it.
Combi's up the
Oh
street.
yeah,
ladies.
we got that. Yeah, we got the
did-
ladies.
We just that was a backdoor pilot into our food
That's
segment.
what she said. Let's do this. All right, everybody. Keep on drinking
Cheers,
them beers.
everybody.
Tune in soon. We'll talk to you soon.